Hello everyone. Welcome to IBE classes. Now we are here to discuss the second test paper and the second test paper of FGS paper 1, and obviously we are going to discuss the history question that was asked in this weekly test that was organized this Sunday. Now बात करें अगर हम लोग तो पहले आते हैं फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन की ओर. The first question says, discuss the linguistic reorganization of states in India. Now, this question code you were supposed to write in 150 words. Now, if we talk about the linguistic reorganization of the state, obviously before independence itself, even Gandhi ji has said that after getting independence, there the state would be reorganized on the basis of languages. Even the Congress had organized a linguistic based committee. It's a working committee as such. So before the independence also, we had this demand, and it was quite a demand that everyone thought after getting independence, this will be implemented. Now, keeping in view, the after independence, the voices for the linguistic reorganization, that is organization of the state on the basis of language, started being raised by different segment of the people. Now, when this was being raised by different people, right, and they were even some congressmen, some non-congressmen. So, in this situation, what the government did was it appointed the first linguistic reorganization committee, and this committee was headed by S.K. Dhar in 1948. Now, in 1948, Skedhar, he gave its recommendation that obviously linguistic reorganization is not feasible. It should be done on the administrative ease, because we have to keep into account the unity and integrity of the nation. And as we have just seen the partition, right, we are not ready for any other setbacks as such. In this situation, due to this linguistic reorganization committee report, obviously it was set aside. But again, the people pressure came. And in this situation, a three-member committee was constituted. When we talk about these three-member committees, it's popularly called JVP, yani Jawaharlal Nehru, Vallabhbhai Patel, and Pattabhi Sitaramaiah. The three leaders' acronym was obviously, or the first initials of their name was obviously initial letter of their name was used, and this is popularly known as JVP committee. Now, even after fact finding all the things, it was on the same conclusion as it was the Dhar committee. And even they said that the reorganization of the state should be for administrative ease, or on the basis of administrative ease, rather than on language. In this situation, in Andhra Pradesh region, now it's Andhra Pradesh, right? Now, there was a popular congressman whose name was Potti Sri Ramlu. Now, Potti Sri Ramlu, he started fast unto death, and after nearly 57 days, 58 days of fast, he died. Now, his death created a furor, and this creation of furor in the terms of mass agitation plus destruction of government properties, now violent movement around here and there. In such situation, Jawaharlal Nehru, who agreed for the creation of the state of Andhra Pradesh from Madras Presidency, and in 1953, obviously a separate state of Andhra Pradesh came into being. Obviously, the state got official recognition in 1956 after the enactment of State Reorganization Act. But now the creation of Andhra Pradesh was going to create an havoc in the political arena, because every reason now they came up with the demand of appointing basically appointing a commission, not commission rather, appointment of a state on the base of language. Now, this pressure led to the appointment of a commission, linguistic commission, right, for the state reorganization. under Fazl Ali, right? So Fazl Ali Commission, it's popularly known as Fazl Ali Commission. And this Fazl Ali Commission has two other members. It was a three members, right? Committee H.N. Kunjuru and K.M. Panikar were two other members associated with this commission. This commission gave its report in 1954, and on the basis of the recommendation of this commission, the Linguistic Reorganization Act of 1956 was enacted, and this created 14 states and 7 union territories as such, in place of the four categorization of the state that was there. That is category A, category B, category C, category D. Right? Now, in A category earlier, it was the British India provinces. Now, in the B category, the princely states were kept. In C category, the commissariat, as well as some of the small princely states were kept. And in D category, the Andaman and Nicobar was kept. Right? So, this was the earlier categorization, and the 1956, this act was. So, this was what you need to mention in that. Question number 2 says, write a short note on Vedic literature. Now, when we talk about Vedic literature has been divided into two parts. Now, the first one is called the Shruti literature, the other one is called Smriti literature. Right? Shruti means to hear. So, whatever scriptures, right, were based on the divine hearing. Just understand it, the divine hearing, right? The things were not by the human, but were the words of God that have been conveyed to the humans, right? So those literature have been termed as Shruti literature, and it consists of Vedas, which are four Vedas are there. Rig Veda, right, which contains different hymns, right, pertaining to the ancient knowledges as well as their families of sages and others. Now, other one is Sama Veda, which is considered to be the origin of Indian music. Now, third one is Yajurveda, which mentions about sacrifices and ceremonies, right? And D is Atharvaveda, which deals with the everyday life and superstition and magic. Now, I'm going in so short because you don't need to explain all Vedas only. Just write one line for that. That is sufficient because the question is only of 150 marks. More and more coverage of the literature will fetch you more mark rather than describing a single thing in half of the page. Right? Now that's why I'm giving a sort of model answer to you guys. Right? So just keep this thing in mind. Now, apart from the Vedas, we have the Brahmanas. Brahmanas were basically the explanatory texts of Vedas. The third one was Aranyak. Aranyak was the books which were written in forest, and these are considered to be the sowing seeds of philosophy, or it is basically a link between the Vedic knowledge as well as the Upanishads, right? So it is a link because from here the Upanishad or philosophical development took place. So that is Aranyak. That's why they are attached with Upanishads only. Bas, itna likhna hai. That's all. Now then we will come to talk about Upanishad. Upanishad means to, the word Upanishad means to sit near the feet of the Guru and get knowledge. And there are 108 Upanishad which we are mainly talking about the non-form of any Almighty. It is mainly concerned with philosophical development, right? And it is called the base of Indian philosophy. That's only you need to write in this one. Then you will talk about the Smriti literature. Smriti means based on memory or based on remembrance, right? And these were they were prone to manipulation. Now you can write anything in that, but in Shruti you can't because these are divine utterances that have come to us, right? So just keep this thing in mind. Now, in Smriti, talk about the Vedangas, mention Vedanga, there are 6 Vedangas, that is, first one is Siksha, in bracket give phonetics, then the second one is Kalpa, bracket rituals, right? Third one is obviously your Vyakaran or grammar, right? Fourth one is Nirukta, that is etymology. Fifth one is Chanda, which is basically the metrics, right? And sixth one is Jyotish, that is astrology. That's right. This. Then we have 4 Upavedas, right? Upavedas, four Upavedas related to Rig Veda is Ayurveda, Yajurveda is Yajurveda is Dhanurveda. Then you have Samveda. Samveda related is Gandharva Veda, and the Atharva Veda we have Shilpa Veda. So these are the four Upavedas, right? Then you can talk about that even the Ramayana and Mahabharata are written under the Smriti literature, which are the two epics of India, right? Just write one line regarding this. Then obviously you can write about the Shad Darshan or the six schools of philosophies out there. Now, obviously, the first one is Nyaya philosophy by Gautama, right? Then you have Sankhya philosophy by Kapila. The third one is obviously Nyaya, then Sankhya, then Vaiseshik philosophy by Kanad Rishi, right? The fourth one is Yoga philosophy by Patanjali, right? Fifth is Purva Mimamsa by Jamini, and Uttar Mimamsa, sixth one, is by Badrayan. Now just write this, and now you can take all these literature still found are basically the foundation stone of Indian culture and are greatly revered. That's all. Now 10 marks question, so you don't need to go much in that. So now this answer this one. Now question number 3 is discuss the role of Bismarck in unification of Germany. Now, question number 3, obviously it's a 150 marks, so you have to be very precise when you write it, because if you start writing this question have been even, it is important for 250 words, right? So, but the here question has been given in 150 words, so it means that we have to be quite precise while answering this question. Now, obviously, if we talk about German unification, now German unification was mainly the work of Bismarck, right? Bismarck, when which we can see that obviously the the German states were divided into nearly 38 states, and it was led by Prussia. Now, when Prussia was the leader, obviously in 1848, during the rebellion, the native rebellion that took place was basically in that basically the first time it was used, or for the first time the people tried to get united. Unification has occurred, but due to Austrian pressure, it couldn't take place. Although it led to the creation of Zollverein, right, which was a custom union as such, right? But now, when Bismarck came to the power, he was the need of the hour, because Wilhelm I was thinking to modernize the army, and this modernization needed a huge amount of money, and this was rejected by the parliament out there. The Riksdag has become very powerful at that point of time, right? And that's why it didn't pass it. In this such situation, Wilhelm I appointed Bismarck, and he used the policy of blood and iron. And obviously, by using that, he got the sanction required for modernizing the military. He added the military force by issuing the conscription notice, right? The people joined the military. Then the second thing that he did was obviously he modernized the army by introducing new weapons, right? Now, new weapons were introduced, and apart from that, the better military training and craftsmanship, military craftsmanship was introduced in army. So he modernized the army because he knew for any endeavor to unite Germany, which was completely under Austria, a good and strong military is needed. Now, once he was done with the this one, once he was obviously done with the modernization of army, now what he started was he started his policy of political maneuvering the situation. Now, obviously, he got an opportunity when Denmark captured the Holstein and Schleswig areas. Now, when Denmark captured Holstein and Schleswig area, obviously these both the areas had, predominance of German-speaking people. Now, in such a scenario, Bismarck, he made a treaty with Austria, right? And in this treaty, which is called the Treaty of Gastein, now in this treaty, it was agreed that we both will invade Denmark and get Holstein and Schleswig. One will be kept by you, another by us. In such situation, now in 1865, both the combined army, they attacked Denmark. Denmark was defeated, and they got to Holstein and Schleswig. Now here, what Bismarck did, he gave the area of Schleswig to the Austria and kept Holstein itself. Right? Sorry, Bismarck kept the area of Schleswig and gave Holstein to Austria. Now, this has become very important because Holstein lies between Schleswig and Persia. So now the Austria has to go to Schleswig by to Holstein by crossing Persia. In such situation, now Austria completely understood that he has been fooled there by Bismarck. Now, even Bismarck was getting ready to fight this Austria power, because without fighting and defeating Austria, the northern part of Germany could not be unified. In such situation, what he did was he started making good relationship with the countries. Like, first of all, he made good relations with Russia. Now, how come Russia? Obviously, he didn't intervene when Russia invaded Poland, right? And he just completely became a mute spectator. That's why Russia regarded it as a friendly gesture and was okay with it. Said, okay, fine, you can go ahead. We are not going to do anything because you have been neutral in our case. So Russia was what? Italy was promised. Italy was promised that fine, your unification will be completed, and whatever area of your nearby or your domination is captured by us, we are going to transfer. When the Bavaria was obviously transferred to it. Now, Abu, in that very situation, what happened is France neutrality was won over because it was said that we will, together march in Belgium. So now France also became a partner of Russia. So after neutralizing any outside threat, now the situation was built by Bismarck through his diplomacy that Austria was made the perpetrator of the attack. And this led to 7-week war with Austria, in which Austria was badly defeated, and obviously this led to North German alliance with Prussia. Now, next step was the defeat of what required was the defeat of France, because the southern part of Germany could only be, united if there is an external threat by France, right? And in such situation, now he manipulated the letters and made Napoleon III attack Prussia. Now, obviously, he has already signed the treaty with Austria, so Austria didn't intervene. Obviously, Italy has already been friend here. Russia was also a friend, so no one was there to help France now. And in such situation, now the France was badly defeated, and in 1870, in the fort of Versailles, right, this German unification was completed by Bismarck, and it also marked the unification of Italy, because by this unification only, the Rome was, or the capital, which is the capital of Italy, was unified to Italy. So this was what you need to write. Next is how Gandhi's vision of education was different from that of Rabindranath Tagore. Now, there is one thing that I'm continuously looking at. Now, the question pertaining to the philosophy of Gandhi, Nehru, Tagore, and Ambedkar, right? Yeah, it often surfaces in your examination, and I'm seeing none of you whosoever are writing the test be even had read it once thoroughly, because none of your answer is good in this regard. Now, kindly hear it very nicely. This question has appeared in UPSC. It has been there in UPPCS, right? And it can be asked to your examination as well. Now, when we talk about education, now the Gandhian mode of education was, the education is not about the physical education or the academic education that is imparted to the students. It should be also meant for upliftment of the student, and this upliftment should be in two terms. One is spiritual upliftment, and the second one is economic upliftment. Now, the student should also be given the knowledge of skilling themselves, which could help them in sustaining themselves, which should be an important part of education rather than, only giving academic education. This was his. Now, next thing, Mahatma Gandhi says that it is basically the personality and moral development of the student that should be paid more hindrance rather than, all the academic degrees that the people get. Right now, apart from this, he said there should be a fine blend of traditional and modern education. Yeah, Western sciences should be learned with the Indian spirituality and spiritualism. Right. So these were the points of Mahatma Gandhi. What he said, but Tagore was completely different from Gandhi. He said that it is basically education is for making and uplifting the personality and character of a being. The modern education which is imparted to the student is like, a parrot in a cage. We are basically more into parrot mode of teaching when we try to feed to the everyone's mouth that you have to read this. He said that it can't be a true education. The whatever the education should be given, it should be in a practical environment and in a natural phenomena of learning the things rather than through academic books or lectures which will be provided by teachers like us. Right now, this was the reason why he want a globalized vision to be developed. He said that most of the teachings that are imparted today, that confines the human intellect to a certain region, to a certain religion, and to a certain nation. But when we talk about humanity, the whole globe is a nation. So we should not go into, this compartmentalization of the reason related to the education. The student should develop a holistic view of the society where he sees the whole globe as his home. Right? And this was the reason why he started Shanti Niketan, where the education was given in the natural surrounding with the practical things rather than any academic learning or keep on passing the examination system that is there. Now, this was not the mode which was taught by Gandhi. Gandhi was only into the development of spiritualism. Then, obviously, it should be skill also developed with the education. But here it has completely a new vision given by Mr. Tagore, right? So these are the things that you need to write upon. Next is question number. We have finished this. Question number 10 is sorry. Question number 5 is over. Now let's talk about question number 11. 250 words questions are there, and we have to discuss the 3 or 4 questions asked in this one. Now, when we talk about this, now question number 11 says, what are the main causes of French Revolution and how Napoleon, being the child of this revolution, acted against the main philosophies of this revolution? Now, when we talk about the French Revolution, now obviously French Revolution has been there for due to plethora of reasons. Now, you can obviously, when you are writing the answer, you can divide these reasons as or the causes as the political reason, the economic reason, the social reason, and the philosophical और intellectual developments as such आप इसको डाल सकता है या फिर you can even keep the intellectual development in the social aspects as well. Now, when we talk about the political reason, now political reason was obviously the King Louis XVI and her wife, right, and Marie Antonio, and both were leading a luxurious life out there. Now, thus they were leading luxurious life, and obviously, on the other hand, the people were suffering. Right now, the this was obviously not liked by the people. This becomes one point. Second point was the involvement of France in a lot many war. First of all, the 7 Year War, and then after that, in the American War of Independence. Now, due to all this, obviously there was uh, there was a great economic loss, and this poverty led to the French Revolution. Now, third political reason was when the political dominance of first, second two states were there, but the third state of commoner didn't have any political power with him, right? So this was also a reason for this one. Now, apart from this, if we talk about the economic impact, obviously the French society was divided in three states, and the tax burden was only on the third states of commoner. The first state of clergyman, that is religious people, and the second one of nobles were having most of the wealth, but they were not paying any a single penny, right? So obviously for tax reformation, right, the three states meeting was called, and this the dissension between the third state and the rest led to the start of French Revolution. Okay. Now, the poor economic condition of France. France basically was involved in lot many wars. That means it has become a very poor country. Apart from that, obviously the luxurious lifestyle was further a great burden on the French treasury. Third one was only as third state was paying, so paying capacity was not much, and all of these reasons led to the soar of bread prices and everything, which led to the bread riots, as well as it made the people get angry against the two states, leading to the war. So this was this. In terms of philosophical reason and intellectuals, obviously the people like Rousseau, right, who gave the theory of social contract, right? In social contract, it says there is a contract between whom the king, the ruling class, and the people who are ruled. If the ruler is not acting in the way which is demanded by the people who are ruled, the people who are ruled have all the rights to overthrow the rulers, right? So this was quite a significant thing that he has given in his book, Social Contract. Now, apart from that, we have people like Voltaire, we have people like uh, John Locke, right? Milton and others who have a profound impact on the people, which proved to be a germinating point for the French Revolution because they obviously understood this. Now, the social cause, if we come in, obviously society was highly fragmented society where all the privileges, social privileges was confined to the first two classes who were not at all paying the taxes. Now, there was one more social reason, and that was there were rise of new middle class, right? And they were businessmen, good businessmen who were earning a lot. They were the different people of different educated people of different professions like doctor, engineers, and others. But even they were not given social privileges and such. They became the torch bearer of this war. Now, obviously, the French Revolution main motive was liberty, equality, and fraternity. Now, these were the three things that came out of this revolution. But when Napoleon started becoming dictator, right? Now, the whole thing completely shattered. Now, Napoleon was the French child of French Revolution because it was due to French Revolution that obviously the government was formed, right? And the directory was established, right? And when the directory was not functioning well, obviously it gave chance to the uh, it gave chance to the Napoleon to upsurge to the power. And on the pretext of this absurdity, on pretext of protecting the things of obviously French Revolution, liberty, equality, and fraternity, now Napoleon came to the power and he killed all these philosophies. How he killed it? First of all, it says liberty, equality, and fraternity. He killed liberty, first of all, when he completely uh, declared himself the emperor of France. When he became the emperor of France, the main thing for which the French Revolution had taken place was removal of the monarchy, and he had become monarch himself. Second was obviously he introduced rather than introduced, he imposed Napoleon Code of the People, which was against basically the French Revolution, because the French Revolution resembled the prevailing of people's will, which it was not doing in this time. It was Napoleon's will which was being implemented. Third was the economic, when we say equality and liberty, the liberty also resonated the economic liberty, but it was not practiced by whom? Napoleon, when he introduced the continental system, the continental blockage of the countries under his domination to trade with England, right? So obviously all these virtues and all these things of Napoleon completely killed the philosophies on which the French Revolution had occurred, and he was basically the child of the revolution, but he still killed the revolution philosophy. This was the thing you have to write. Now next is question number 12, and it says the spine of Indian economy was badly injured during the 200 years of British rule. Now, basically, this line has been asked the examination, and this line is from Shashi Tharoor's book. And basically, Shashi Tharoor has gone to Oxford, and while delivering his lecture on Indian history, he had said this. And this was asked in the question. Now, this is a very good question, and it's if it even we if we don't know what is the source of this line or anything, that hardly matters. So if you mention Shashi Tharoor's name, so that will be a great bonus. Obviously, additional 1 or 2 marks will be given by the examiner, right? But even if you don't know, it hardly matters, right? Now you have to think, cover the things well. Now, in this question, what I have seen is many of the students have faltered to completely build the sequence and explaining a thing. They have gone, here and there, mentioned some point here, some point there. There is not much correlation between the things. So these are some of the facts that you need to work upon if you want to write a good answer pertaining to this question. Now, when we talk about 200 years, the whole British colonialism is divided into 4 periods, right? And this is how I have taught you in the mains. I don't know, there are 1 or 2 or 3 just students who have basically taken that road. Now, anyways, now they will start in these are divided into 4 phases. The first phase, if we talk, or rather 3 phases, not four anything. The 3 phases we have talked about. First phase is from 1800, from 1757, that is after the capture of Palasi, till 1813. Now 1813 is the marketing line, because in 1813, except the monopoly of tea trade in India and the trade with China, obviously East India Company lost its all monopoly. This is why this is been given this one. In this period, the British character was mainly mercantile in nature. Now, when they were more into, buying things from India and selling it to the Western nation and making the profit. Now, in this situation, what they did, when they started attaining political power, what they did was, after attaining the political power, they started using them for manipulating the trade. Now there was a system called Dadani system which was prevalent, and in this, after giving advance, the things were created, and then you have to make the full payment. But these people, they just gave the advance and they didn't pay any amount after this. This led to the start of deindustrialization in India, right? The deindustrialization process started from this period because a lot many handicraft shops were being closed on this one, right? So this one is the phase in which the deindustrialization process started. Apart from it, in this phase, we see the promulgation of zamindari system, a land revenue system that was imposed by Kodwari in 1793, and it led to greater impoverishment of the peasants because it was an atrocious system where zamindar were exploiting badly the Indian one. So the process of impoverishment has started. Now, it is the period in which the dual government took place in Bengal, and it is considered to be the period where the greatest drain in history has occurred in any nation in the world, right? So, this was the thing that had occurred, which was breaking the whom Indian economy. Now, if you start the answer, start with it. Okay, obviously, India had the 26% percent share in global trade at the time of British coming to power in Bengal, right? And from there till independence, it has declined to less than 1%, right, in terms of world trade. Today, we haven't been able to reach, nearly we have reached 2%, right? So this is now what we are having in world trade. And at that point of time, we were having 26% in the complete world trade. Right? So this one is the first season, first phase that we see. The second phase is kept from 1813 to 1857-58 period. Now this period saw that the company monopoly completely ended in 1833, which meant that a lot many British traders came into India. Now, in this period, there was, there was the industrial revolution taking place in England, and it was taking place on the cost of India's poverty. Now, there was a great drain of wealth at this point of time from India. The deindustrialization, which has started from the period of the first phase, now it got completed in this period. Now, two things which has contributed in it. One was obviously the increase in tariff from 80 to 300% on Indian goods in the international market, especially in Britain. And the second one was all trading relation with other nation was blocked by the British because now they were completely dominating India politically. The other factor was obviously the Indian market was flooded with the British goods, and the machine made cheap goods even killed the Indian market. So the international market over, Indian market over. That means the industrialization in India over, right? So this complete deindustrialization were there. Now, in this period, there were two more land revenue system, that is Rayatwadi, Mahalwari introduced. So land revenue demand was so high and it was a great atrocity on the people. Now, this gave birth to the land alienation and rural indebtedness. Now, why land alienation? Because to pay the rent, high rent, the people used to go to money lender, and then they take, once they came into the web of the money lender, they used to first be indebted, that is rural indebtedness used to there, and finally the land that they had mortgaged, it was taken by the money lender. So these two things happened. Now this was the phase that by enhanced land revenue demand, the people forced the peasants, right? The planters, British planters forced the peasant to grow cash crops like indigo, opium, cotton, etc. Right? Now this led to commercialization of agriculture, which exposed the Indian farmers to the market forces, and it further impoverished the people. right? So this was the thing that had occurred here, occurred in, here in India. Now this is the reason why in this phase India, which was once a leading exporter of finished goods, became a leading exporter of raw material and importer of finished goods. This is the thing that you need to conclude in this one. In the third phase, due to the development of railway, telegraph and other, which has started after the 1850s, 53 and others, right? There was a lot of investment, and this phase is termed as financial capitalism phase. And this one, obviously, India was paying the bonus or the profit of the of profit to the British capitalist from its own revenues, right? And apart from that, there was very little industrial development that took place in this system, this era. Even the banking system developed, but everything was completely under the dominance of the British, and the little progress in terms of the establishment of a cotton textile mill by Kavasti Nanabai in 1853 or in 1907, right, the establishment of Tata Iron and Steel Company was the very little development that took place in this era, right? Now, because the British were against the establishment of heavy industries in India, now further exploitation has increased in terms of home charges that was there, and home charges was basically the salary and pension which was given to the British officers and British military. The era of 1920 to 21 to 1930 saw the highest rise of home charges, and it was a great drain because the home charges constituted nearly 30% of the total expenditure of the government, and these 30% was paid by the Indians, right? In such way the British systematically in 200 years broke the spine of Indian economy. This is the reason why after independence we were a completely economically wrecked country, and this is what you need to write in this one. Now, next one is discuss the impact of non-cooperation movement on India's struggle for independence, analyzing its strategies and consequences. Right. Now, before talking about the impact, first you need to talk about the strength. Now, this again, you don't, I'm finding some problem with many of the students. They are not getting the real tone of the question, and they lack where to start and where to end. Right. Now, in this question, most of you have started with the impact of non-cooperation movement. It is the concluding one which you need to write, not this. You should start with the strategies, then consequences, and then its impact, right? So these are the things that you need to follow. Now, when we talk about the strategies, obviously the non-cooperation movement, which started on three demands, that is rectification of Punjab wrong, rectification of Khilafat wrong, and third one, give a representative, government to the Indians. Now, when they started the movement, now there was a system, there was the movement was launched which has two aspects. One was a positive, other was a negative strategy. The positive strategies were, enabling the people, village reconstruction by Gandhi, right? Giving charkha to the Gandhi, rise of national schools, opening of national colleges and university like Jamia Millia Islamia or Aligarh Muslim University status was given, right? The establishment of Gujarat Vidyapeeth. So all these were taking place, which will be there in positive aspect, which you need to write, right? It's a negative one was obviously basically the boycott of government jobs, boycott of schools, right? These were negative things. That so you divide it first into the positive and the negative aspect of the movement. So that is how the strategies were. Apart from this, the strategy were two-folded. Yani two more point is required in that. First of all, they wanted to finance the village reconstruction work, and that led to the establishment of Tilak Swaraj Fund of collecting 1 crore rupees. Second one was they wanted to make Congress a pan-India massive organization. That's why they talked about what? Obviously increasing the membership in every village and nook and corner of India. Right? So these are basically the strategies that were adopted. Now its consequences क्या हुए यहाँ पर? Right? ये strategy हुआ, the movement started, the movement had a great consequence. Now consequence was, first of all, it was a massive movement. There was massive people. Now second one was, it helped the people in getting enlightened, right, and getting politically agitated, sorry, politically education, as well as getting the first hand in experience in participating in any mass revolution, right? तो ये सब जो था वो कॉन्सिक्वेंस हो जा रहा, इम्पैक्ट क्या हुआ? Now impact was a lot, many impacts were there. Now first impact was there, this was the movement which had the greatest Hindu Muslim unity. Now, the greatest Hindu-Muslim unity had a long-lasting impact, and this is the why, no matter how much communalism developed, even in 1942, Quit India movement, we see the participation of Muslim, although it was low, but it wasn't complete, absent, and the seed of this was sown in the non-cooperation movement. Second impact was, it made the people realize that unless you have a mass support for your movement, you can't stand firm against the British. Because this was the first mass movement and it became a role model for the others to follow. Third thing was, they had greatly, this movement had, and Mr. Gandhi and others have greatly learned that obviously the mistakes that have been made in the earlier movements, like whether it was Swadeshi movement, whether we had 1857 revolt, all the shortcomings were taken into account. Because both these things, though both these great movements that we had earlier, right, they lacked people's participation, and especially the participation of the lower street of the society. Now even they were taken into the fold and their mass participation, that continued, and it basically helped in the further movement resulting in the India's independence, which we saw. Now, apart from this, a new strand was established, that was the Gandhian strand of doing politics based on non-violence and self-exertion for the truth in the form of satyagraha. That was a great thing which was seen in the further and has a mass impact, a large impact on the political milieu of the country till independence. Now, the next one is, it made the people realize that if a united front is, given, or a united front is presented before the British with our demands and all, the British do get pressurized, and this was seen. Next, one more thing was established by this movement, that the philosophy, the ideas that are more important than the immediate gain. Which means the right means will only lead to right ends. And this was the reason why, when the movement started with the right means, that is non-violence, and the right end, giving people rights and other good things, and moving towards independence, obviously it was going good. But when our means became bad, right, when we had, Chori Chora incident, for the right end, what we did, that we dropped down the movement, which shows the moral strength of the Indians, and it also establishes Gandhi's one thing, that is struggle, truce, struggle, and the start for this has been from this one. So a lot many big things that you can write in this one. Right, so now last question to discuss the development of art and architecture and development of science and technology in the Gupta period. Right. When we talk about the Gupta period, it has been termed as the golden age of India. And it has been termed so because there was all-round development that has taken place, whether it was in a literature, whether it was in painting, whether it was in sculpture, right, whether it was in science and technology, right. So none of the, whether it was mathematics, so none of the field was left alone. Now this is the religion and everything, right? So that's why we call it a golden period. Now here we have to talk about two aspects. First of all, art and architecture development. Now art and architecture development will start with obviously painting, right? So when we talk about painting, the Indian painting and ancient time reached its peak during the Gupta period, and Ajanta Ellora paintings are basically considered to be one. Now, especially Ajanta paintings are considered to be the best paintings, right? Apart from that, we have Bagha cave paintings, where the mural paintings or the Ajanta fresco painting has been there, right? So you could write about that in Gupta period, right? Because you have to cover a lot, many aspects in it. So you don't need to write very much about what was the fresco painting, what was the mural painting, right? So वो पूरा बहुत discuss करने की जरूरत नहीं है. You just need to, confine your thing in 2 and 3 lines, add the things, right? Now you can obviously say the best part of it was use of natural color and the right texture that still gives it a great glow. So that was about painting. Then you come to sculpture. Now it was a further development of Mathura school of sculpture with more sensuous nature of images were carved and more elaboration and decoration was incorporated in Gupta period. The copper image of Lord Buddha at Sultanganj is considered to be one of the best. Right? In terms of architecture, we have to give 2 or 3 examples. All our Nachna Kuthara temple, Parvati temple, right? Uh, right? So Bhitri temple, right? Deogarh temple, right? Tigwa temple. A lot of many temples are there. So you could write some of the example because the temple architecture started from Gupta period, which laid the foundation of development of three style of temple architecture. And Gupta period temple mainly served as a base for the development of Nagara style, and its variations led to the development of Dravid and Vaishya style. This was only you need to write in this one. So architecture, you need to discuss this, give 2 or 3 4 examples, that was sufficient, right? So art and architecture, यहाँ तक आप करते हो तो you have covered at least more than 125-30 words, right? Now the next part is science and technology, right? Now science and technology, you need to write about different aspects, right? So first of all, India saw its golden period in terms of science and technology. In terms of medicine, we have the great Shushrut in his book Shushrut Samahita. He talks about surgery, and he was the first plastic surgeon of the world who performed the rhinoplasty. In terms of metallurgy, we have the greatest, we have the greatest example as the Mehrauli iron pillar. And the Mehrauli iron pillar is made of pure iron, but the coating on it has prevented its rusting, and it's the one of the only examination in the world that anything made of pure iron has not rusted. So which show the epitome of metallurgy. Now, medicine, metallurgy, then come to mathematics. In mathematics, we have seen great development. Now, we had the great Brahmagupta who gave the concept and developed the number system in India in his book Brahmasput Siddhanta, which was basically copied by the Arabians, and from Arabians it has gone to the Western world. Now that's why they call it Arab numerals, but Arabs have taken from us. Apart from it, do everyone know Aryabhat has, given the concept of zero, has discovered the use of zero, right? So this was given by Aryabhatta, right? You can also write that there was Bhaskaracharya, a great mathematician Bhaskaracharya, who is considered to be the developer of the calculus theorems out here. राइट। तो इतना कुछ हम लोग दे सकते हैं वहां पर इन मैथमेटिक्स। मैथमेटिक्स के बाद आएंगे एस्ट्रोनॉमी। इन टर्म्स ऑफ एस्ट्रोनॉमी, right, a great development has been there. The Aryabhatta has given the concept that the sun is stationary and the earth is revolving around it, and even the concept of 9 planets has been doing around in India right from the ancient period, especially during the Gupta period. Then you can talk about Varahamihir. In his book Vrihat Samhita, he had talked about the distance from sun and earth and moon and earth, and obviously that is quite near to the basically the actual distance which have been calculated now. So in this way, none of the field in science was there where no progress was made, and this is what you all need to write in this one. Right, so that's all the questions that were pertaining to history. I hope the session would have been an enlightening one, right, and would help you to write the questions better next time. Thank you, guys. Thank you.